What would you do if you could see heaven one day, but your family was waiting for you? Fatal accident. The Texas sky that day was clear, but the sun blazed like fire. Each scorching ray shone down on the high-rise construction site where Michael was working, turning the steel scaffolding into a gigantic furnace. The smell of cement dust, mixed with the scent of heated steel, along with the clanging of metal, made the air heavier and more tense than ever. Michael, a 42-year-old construction engineer, stood on the 15th floor of the building under construction, holding the blueprint. His sunburned face was streaked with beads of sweat rolling down his cheeks, soaking into the collar of his light blue shirt that had darkened from dust and sweat. He sighed, carefully wiping his glasses, slightly foggy from the steam rising from the concrete below. From afar, the voices of workers calling out to one another, the growling of the cement mixer, the pounding of drills against the concrete, all merged into a noisy symphony, familiar, but always laden with danger. Michael turned back to look at the workers, trying to control the chaos. He was a meticulous man, always putting safety first. But lately, pressure from the investors' deadlines had made everything feel like a race. At that moment, the phone in his pocket vibrated. He pulled it out. The screen lit up with a photo of his wife, Sarah, and their 8-year-old son, Daniel. His heart sank slightly. The message Sarah had sent read, "Don't forget today is Daniel's parent-teacher meeting. He's really looking forward to you being there." Michael squinted, his heart skipping a beat. He had promised his son he would be there, but glancing at his watch, he knew today was nearly impossible. He slipped the phone back into his pocket, breathing in the hot metallic fumes rising from the scaffolding, filled with dust and smoke. In his mind, a flicker of conflict arose, the crushing weight of responsibility at work, while his family was slowly being left behind. A piercing scream erupted from the left. "The scaffolding's loose. Everyone be careful." Michael jolted around. He saw an enormous section of steel scaffolding beginning to shake violently, a bolt popping loose, steel bars clashing together with a metallic clatter. His professional instincts instantly surged. Michael rushed forward, shouting loudly, "Everyone get out now! Don't stand under there!" But in just a few short seconds, everything collapsed faster than he could stop it. A deafening crash thundered, shaking the entire floor. A scaffold column snapped, dragging down a massive chunk of concrete. Michael only had time to feel the violent tremor, the world spinning, the shrill screech of breaking steel piercing his ears. Before he could dodge, a huge slab of concrete plummeted right where he stood. His body was flung backward, slamming hard against the ground. The last sound he heard was the chaotic screams of the workers. "Call an ambulance!" The chief engineer's trapped. The fee beat. Whole world sank into a thick, suffocating blackness. Michael felt a stabbing pain in his chest, unable to breathe, as if a 1,000-pound rock was crushing him. His ears rang, the only sound left being the frantic pounding of his own heartbeat, then slower and slower. In that hazy moment, shattered images appeared. Daniel's innocent smile as he learned to ride a bike, Sarah's gentle gaze on their wedding day, the joyful laughter of the whole family during Christmas dinner. He wanted to scream, to fight against the darkness pulling him away, but his lips wouldn't move, his body paralyzed. A salty drop at the corner of his mouth made him realize it was blood. Michael sank deeper, like a man slipping into the bottom of the ocean. The ambulance siren wailed, tearing through the crowded street. The pungent smell of blood, mixed with burning plastic and steel, filled the thick air inside. Michael lay motionless, his face pale, blood soaking one side of his shirt. Two paramedics frantically performed chest compressions, shouting orders as they struggled to keep him breathing. "Heart stopped, keep compressing. Prepare the defibrillator now." Michael's body jerked violently as the current surged through, but his heart stubbornly refused to beat again. Somewhere, in the darkness, Michael felt himself falling into an endless void. No more pain, no more pressure, only a chilling stillness enveloped him. And at that very moment, he began to realize he had reached the boundary between life and death. The journey of the soul. The sound of the ambulance siren gradually faded away, but Michael could no longer hear it. The first thing he noticed was absolute silence. A silence not like covering one's ears, but a silence that made him feel he no longer belonged to that noisy world. He opened his eyes, Or perhaps his soul opened a new vision. In front of him was no longer suffocating darkness, but instead a shimmering brightness, surrounding him like glistening silk ribbons. That light was not blinding, but gentle, like dawn, spreading over a still lake. Michael looked down, and his heart clenched. On the hospital's emergency table, his body was lying motionless, his face pale, lips purple, chest heaving under the doctor's hands as they performed relentless compressions. He was so shocked he could not speak. "That is me?" The nurse's trembling hands inserted a breathing tube into his mouth. The monitor beside him emitted a long beep, signaling the heart had stopped. Another doctor shouted, "Prepare for the third shock." Michael wanted to reach out to stop them, to scream, "I'm here. I'm still conscious." But when he touched, his transparent hand passed through the doctor's shoulder like air. A wave of fear and helplessness surged. He saw his wife, Sarah, rushing to the emergency room door, sobbing, "Please save him. Please don't let him go." Her choked voice, her tear-filled eyes, cut into Michael's heart like knives. He had never seen Sarah so desperate. In his panic, Michael felt his body grow weightless. He was lifted upward, passing through the ceiling of the operating room, then hovered, looking down. The world below shrank, blurred within the strange white light. A gentle fragrance lingered in the air, not the smell of antiseptic, but jasmine mixed with a hint of cinnamon, like a garden he had once walked through in childhood. A cool breeze flowed through his being, erasing all pain, all pressure in his chest and lungs. He exhaled with relief, for the first time in hours, no longer crushed by concrete, no longer burning from blood loss. In the distance, Michael saw a swirling tunnel of light, vast and sparkling like the Milky Way. Golden, green, and silver rays spiraled, pulling him closer. Within the tunnel, he heard soothing sounds, like a choir, part human voices, part the song of the wind. He felt his heart being comforted. No more struggle with work, no more burdens of responsibility, only an absolute peace. As he went deeper, Michael suddenly saw familiar figures. His father, who had died when Michael was a teenager, was standing there, smiling kindly. His grandmother, with silver hair and a gentle smile, arms open, waiting to embrace him. He choked. "Father, Grandma, is it really you?" His father's voice rang out, not through the mouth, but directly into his mind. "Son, do not be afraid. But you cannot stay here yet." Michael froze, his heart squeezed tight. "Cannot stay yet?" He wanted to ask, but tears filled his eyes as he saw his father turn toward an even brighter light. In that instant, a powerful force pulled him toward the light, but at the same time, another force dragged him back, down toward the emergency room, where Sarah was still sobbing in anguish. He heard his son's voice echoing, as if from very far away. "Daddy, you promised me you'd come to the parent-teacher meeting." Those innocent words tore Michael's heart apart. His whole body trembled. On one side, eternal peace. On the other, the family that needed him. He wanted to step forward, yet he could not turn away. In that moment, suspended between two worlds, Michael felt more clearly than ever the true value of life. Michael floated in the boundless void, one side bathed in a strange light radiating warmth, the other fading into the dim shadow, leading back to the world he had just left. His heart trembled, as if torn in two. He heard his father's voice calling, gentle yet resonant within his mind. "Son, here lies peace, but you still have unfinished things in that world." Michael turned toward his father, tears streaming down the translucent face of his soul. "Father, I'm so tired. I don't want to endure anymore. I've worked without rest. I've sacrificed everything. And now, I just want to rest." His father stepped closer, placing a warm hand on his shoulder. The sensation was not flesh, but like a current of energy overflowing with love. "You believe your family needs someone to carry all the burdens. But you are wrong, Michael. What they need is simply you, being there, present, and loving." Those words pierced his chest like an arrow. Images of Sarah appeared, sitting in the hospital hallway, her hands covering her face, tears falling like rain. Then the image of his son emerged, bright eyes hiding the fear of losing his father. Michael choked. But if I go back, I will still suffer. I am exhausted. I fear I am not strong enough. His grandmother approached, wrapping him in her embrace, the gentle fragrance from her like the memory of childhood blossoms. She whispered softly, "Strength does not come from the body, but from the heart. When you love and are loved, you will find strength 1,000-fold." Michael turned his head toward the radiant tunnel. From deep within, he saw other silhouettes, souls drifting peacefully, their faces wearing serene smiles. A breathtaking sight, an endless field stretching under an eternal blue sky, flowers of light shimmering like thousands of tiny candles. Music still resounded, not from instruments, but as if the entire universe was singing in chorus, humming a hymn of love and release. Michael felt his heart soften, as though healed from the deepest wounds. He thought, if this is heaven, why shouldn't I move forward? But just then, he heard Sarah's voice echo once more, clear as if right beside him. "Michael, don't you leave me. I need you. Our son needs you." His heart ached. A powerful surge of emotion pulled him back. He could not turn away from them. His father smiled, eyes glimmering with understanding. "You see now, Michael, death is not to be feared, but life is where you must find the courage to face it. Go back, live, but do not forget what you felt here. Carry this love back with you, and you will change everything." Michael looked at his father, at his grandmother, then at the radiant light. A single tear rolled down. He pressed his hands together and whispered softly, "I understand. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Grandma. I will go back." The moment his words ended, his being was pulled forcefully, backward, like a massive whirlpool dragging him down. The luminous scenery vanished swiftly, replaced by heavy darkness. The hymn faded into the distance, until only the shrill beep of the monitor in the emergency room remained. Michael cried out, "Sarah, son, I will come back." And in that instant, his soul hurled itself straight into the motionless body lying on the operating table. A powerful surge of electricity jolted through Michael's chest. "Clear!" the doctor shouted, pressing the paddles against him. The motionless body twitched, then went limp again. The monitor still emitted a long, flat beep. Michael's soul had just re-entered his body, and instantly he was crushed by searing pain. No longer weightless or at peace, now his chest felt split apart, his lungs aflame. He heard screams inside his head, yearning to escape, yearning to return to that light. "We cannot lose this patient. Keep compressions going." The doctor's voice rang out. Another shock, another compression. Suddenly, the monitor flickered with a small beat. "We have a signal." "His heart is beating again." A nurse cried in hope. The suffocating tension broke open. Sarah collapsed in the hallway when she heard he had a heartbeat once more. Michael opened his eyes, everything blurred. The white glare of hospital lights, the steady hiss of the ventilator at his side. His entire body ached as if crushed, but most important of all, he was alive. Sarah rushed into the room, clutching his hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Michael, I thought I lost you." Michael struggled to move his lips, his voice hoarse. "I saw Father. I saw Grandma." Sarah's eyes widened, squeezing his hand tighter. The two could only cry for the fear they had just endured, cry for the blessing of still being together. In the weeks that followed, Michael endured surgeries, medications, and unrelenting physical pain. Yet, what astonished him was that his heart no longer felt heavy as before. He no longer saw life as a chain of exhausting days weighed down by responsibility. Each morning, opening his eyes, he felt grateful simply to take a breath, to see sunlight filtering through the hospital window. When his son visited, Michael pulled him close, whispering, "Daddy will always be here, I promise. Not just as a worker, but as your father." Sarah looked at him, her eyes brimming with love. It had been a long time since she had seen her husband smile with such ease. When discharged, Michael decided to take extended leave from construction work. He spent his days at home, playing with his son, taking Sarah for walks, and sometimes just sitting quietly, watching the sunset. He began writing a journal, recording every detail of his near-death experience. The moment he left his body, the tunnel of light, the reunion with his father and grandmother. With each word, his heart felt a little lighter. One evening, Sarah asked, "Do you regret coming back?" Michael squeezed her hand, his eyes deep with meaning. "No, because I now understand how precious this life is. We only get one chance, and I won't let it slip away." Years later, Michael became an inspiration. He shared his near-death story with patients in despair, with those losing faith in life. He always ended with one line: "I have seen death, and I have seen the light. But it was love on this earth that kept me here. Don't wait until it's gone to realize that to live, simply to love, is the greatest miracle." The story closes with Michael sitting on his porch, watching his son play under the sunset, his hand holding Sarah's tightly. He knew he had been given a second chance, and this time he would live it fully. Michael's story reminds us that life is so fragile that in just a single moment, everything can change. But it is love and presence with one another that truly anchor us to this world. Have you ever experienced a moment that made you realize the true value of life? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to follow the channel for more heart-touching stories about near-death journeys and the miracles beyond death.